Just when everyone thought this case couldn't get any more intense, a brand new court filing drops a shocking accusation. A private message surfaces that changes everything, and now an unexpected name is pulled into the chaos once again. Tonight, we break down what was really said, who just took a powerful stand, and why this story is far from over. The courtroom was tense from the moment the first filings hit the public domain, and every update that emerged seemed to twist the story even further, pulling in names, connections, and situations that no one outside of Hollywood could have imagined. And the drama did not stop at the initial allegations, because as soon as the statements were read and dissected online, social media exploded with speculation, theory, and analysis from every angle, and it became clear that this case was not just about the words that were allegedly spoken or the actions that were taken. It was about power, influence, perception, and the delicate balance between professional ambition and personal boundaries. And every message, text, and email that surfaced added new layers to an already complex situation. And those who thought they understood the dynamics quickly realized that nothing could have prepared them for the cascade of revelations that followed. And as filings continued to be released, one could not help but notice that the network of connections extended far beyond the immediate individuals involved. And suddenly, family members, colleagues, industry peers, and even unrelated public figures were pulled into discussions, debates, and analysis that would have seemed inconceivable just weeks earlier. And the timing of these releases was almost cinematic because each revelation seemed to hit at the perfect moment, creating waves of reaction that spread across platforms, traditional media, and private conversations alike. And every statement that was dissected created new questions about intent, perception, interpretation, and impact. And while some observers attempted to make sense of the situation through logic, legal precedents, and experience, others could only react emotionally as the narrative evolved in real time. And it became increasingly difficult to separate fact from perception and assertion from interpretation. And with each passing day, more and more information emerged that suggested that the story was as much about human psychology, ambition, rivalry, and reputation as it was about the original claims in the filings. And this only heightened the anticipation for what would come next, because viewers, audiences, and followers became deeply invested not just in the outcome, but in the unfolding drama itself. And as the narrative continued to develop, it was impossible to ignore the role that communication styles, personalities, and historical relationships played in shaping the events that were now being examined under a public microscope. And while some observers focused exclusively on the words being quoted from filings, others began to analyze the subtext, context, and potential motivations that could be influencing the way statements were framed, interpreted, and reacted to. And in doing so, the audience was drawn deeper into a narrative that felt like it was larger than any single person, event, or action. And the sheer scale of the story became apparent as legal experts, journalists, influencers, and casual viewers all began to weigh in, offering commentary, theories, and speculation about the possible consequences, outcomes, and future developments that might arise from the ongoing proceedings. And as the weeks passed, new documents surfaced that revealed additional layers of communication that had previously been unknown to the public. And each new piece of information added fuel to the fire, creating new questions that demanded answers. And while some of these revelations were technical, procedural, or related to standard legal processes, others were deeply personal, evocative, and emotionally charged, which only heightened the sense of urgency, curiosity, and attention that surrounded the case. And as a result, every statement, every clarification, and every denial became a critical point of focus for those following the story closely. And even for those who had a passing interest, it became increasingly difficult to avoid being drawn into the drama because the stakes appeared so high and the potential consequences so significant that nearly everyone could feel the tension building with each new headline, article, post, or broadcast segment. And what was particularly striking about this unfolding situation was the way in which individuals who were previously peripheral or unknown suddenly became central figures in the narrative, and their perspectives, insights, and reactions were analyzed and discussed as if they were essential pieces of a puzzle that could unlock a deeper understanding of what had occurred, what was occurring, and what might occur next. And the complexity of these relationships, interactions, and communications underscored the fact that this case was not a simple matter of right and wrong or black and white, but a nuanced conflict involving layers of intention, perception, responsibility, influence, and reputation management. And every time a new filing or statement appeared, the story shifted slightly or dramatically depending on the nature of the content and the interpretation applied by readers, analysts, or observers. And it became clear that the evolution of this narrative was not linear, predictable, or confined to the traditional timelines and frameworks of legal processes, but instead was dynamic, fluid, and constantly responsive to both the actions of the parties involved and the reactions of the broader public. And while some observers attempted to create summaries, overviews, or simplified versions of events, these efforts were almost immediately complicated by the release of new information, contradictory accounts, or reinterpretations of existing statements, which in turn generated new discussions, debates, and analyses that perpetuated the sense of ongoing suspense, intrigue, and drama. And the emotional intensity of those following the case increased as they became invested, not only in the unfolding events themselves, but in the personalities, behaviors, motivations, and perceived intentions of the individuals involved. And the scrutiny extended far beyond the legal documents into social media reactions, commentary, interviews, and the historical context surrounding each participant. And as the narrative continued to expand, connections previously unseen began to emerge, revealing a web of interactions and influences that tied together multiple individuals, industries, and media ecosystems. And in this interconnected network, even the smallest statement, email, or text could take on outsized significance as audiences attempted to map meaning, impact, and potential consequences. And in many ways, the story became as much about the interpretation and analysis of information as it was about the information itself. And the complexity of these interpretations highlighted how subjective perspective, context, and personal bias could influence understanding and perception. And the continual emergence of new documents, evidence, and commentary created a sense of anticipation, suspense, and uncertainty that kept audiences engaged, attentive, and deeply invested in the evolving drama. And the combination of legal intrigue, personal conflict, professional reputation, and public scrutiny created a narrative that was endlessly fascinating, multi-layered, and impossible to predict. And as the story unfolded, the audience was drawn into a cycle of attention, speculation, and analysis that ensured that even minor developments were amplified and examined for their potential significance. And while the full resolution remained unknown, the stakes continued to rise with every new revelation, creating a sense of immediacy, urgency, and engagement that was virtually unparalleled. And the sheer scope, scale, and impact of this ongoing situation underscored the fact that in the modern era, information, social media, public perception, and legal process are inextricably linked, and that the consequences of public exposure, scrutiny, and interpretation are profound, far-reaching, and long-lasting. And as every new filing surfaced and every statement was analyzed, the anticipation, tension, and drama surrounding the case continued to build, reaching levels that kept audiences captivated and drawn into the story in a way that was both immersive, compelling, and relentless. And this continuous cycle of anticipation, revelation, and speculation ensured that the narrative remained active, dynamic, and impossible to ignore for anyone paying attention to the unfolding events. And with each new update, the story took on new dimensions, opened new avenues of inquiry and speculation, and deepened the sense of suspense, intrigue, and emotional investment that surrounded the case, ensuring that audiences would remain engaged for the long term, waiting for the next bombshell, next revelation, and next twist that could once again reshape everything they thought they understood. And the implications of this ongoing narrative continue to expand, reaching beyond the immediate parties to influence observers, analysts, commentators, and even wider industry conversations, while also serving as a case study in how legal conflict, personal dynamics, and public scrutiny intersect in ways that are unpredictable and often astonishing. And as each day passes, the anticipation, suspense, and curiosity only grows, ensuring that those following remain riveted on every detail and prepared for every new twist, turn, and revelation that is sure to emerge next. As the trial continued to unfold, the layers of complexity grew deeper, and the intensity of public attention escalated with every new filing or statement that emerged from the ongoing legal proceedings. And what was initially perceived as a localized dispute over professional conduct and alleged comments quickly transformed into a sprawling narrative encompassing reputation, perception, professional dynamics, and the intricate web of relationships that intersect in the entertainment industry. And the more documents that were released and analyzed, the more it became apparent that there was a vast network of communication, social interaction, and behind-the-scenes negotiation that had previously been invisible to the public eye. And each new piece of evidence, whether in the form of emails, texts, or witness declarations, added new dimensions to the narrative, creating additional points of interpretation, speculation, and intrigue. And the public following the case became increasingly aware that this was not merely about the literal meaning of statements made or actions taken, but about the perceived impact, the intent behind those statements, and the broader context in which all of these interactions had occurred. And as the narrative continued to expand, observers and analysts alike began to map connections, timelines, and patterns that suggested the story had far-reaching implications for both professional relationships and public perception in Hollywood and beyond. And the anticipation surrounding each new release created a rhythm of attention, engagement, and analysis, where audiences were eager to scrutinize every word, every sentence, and every paragraph for hidden meaning, underlying tone, and potential implications. And as the story developed further, the role of family members, close associates, and professional peers became more prominent, highlighting the personal dimension of the conflict and the way in which support, loyalty, and perception intersected with legal strategy, public relations, and media narratives. And this convergence of factors underscored the multidimensional nature of the case and the difficulty in drawing clear lines between what was legally significant, ethically relevant, or publicly interesting. And every time a new document or statement emerged, the narrative shifted subtly or dramatically, depending on interpretation and audience perception. And in doing so, the case revealed the complex interplay between human behavior, communication style, context, and public reaction. And while legal experts focused on technical arguments and procedural details, many observers found themselves engaged in a parallel narrative, exploring the motivations, personalities, and strategies of the individuals involved. And this dual layer of analysis created a rich tapestry of speculation, observation, and judgment that kept audiences engaged and invested in the unfolding drama in ways that extended far beyond the courtroom and into social media commentary, fan discourse, and professional debate. And the intensity of this engagement was amplified by the timing and sequencing of each document release, which often created moments of heightened anticipation, suspense, and speculation that dominated online discussion and news coverage alike. And the cumulative effect of these releases was a narrative that seemed constantly evolving, dynamic, and unpredictable, with each new element adding a layer of complexity and intrigue that reinforced the sense of urgency and importance surrounding the case. And as the weeks and months progressed, it became increasingly clear that this was not a story that could be understood through isolated incidents or singular statements, but only through the careful examination of patterns, connections, and interactions across multiple contexts and timeframes.
And this realization led both experts and observers to consider broader questions about communication, interpretation, power dynamics, and professional conduct in high-stakes environments, and the ways in which personal perception and public exposure can amplify or distort the significance of particular actions or words. And as additional evidence emerged, it revealed not only previously unknown interactions, but also alternative interpretations and counter-narratives that challenged assumptions and encouraged deeper inquiry. And in this environment of continuous revelation and reinterpretation, the audience was kept in a state of heightened attention, engagement, and suspense as they attempted to parse meaning, implications, and potential outcomes. And the complexity of these dynamics highlighted the difficulty in predicting how legal, professional, and personal factors would ultimately converge to shape the resolution of the case. And each new filing seemed to open additional avenues of exploration and analysis, prompting further speculation and commentary about what might happen.
Next, who would be affected, and how the broader industry and public might respond. And this relentless cycle of anticipation, release, reaction, and speculation created an immersive narrative experience for the audience, where engagement, curiosity, and emotional investment were continually renewed and reinforced. And as the narrative unfolded, it became increasingly apparent that even minor details could take on significant interpretive weight, as audiences, commentators, and analysts attempted to discern meaning, intent, and potential consequence from every sentence and phrase. And the implications of these interpretations extended far beyond the immediate parties involved, influencing perceptions of professional reputation, personal conduct, and industry dynamics. And while some observers focused primarily on the legal ramifications, others examined the story through the lens of social influence, power relationships, and the potential impact on future behavior in similar contexts. And the combination of legal complexity, emotional resonance, and public scrutiny created a scenario where the unfolding drama was experienced simultaneously on multiple levels by a diverse and engaged audience. And as additional communications surfaced, they revealed further dimensions of interaction, influence, and perception that had previously been hidden from public view. And the cumulative effect of these revelations ensured that audience attention remained fixed on the evolving narrative, waiting for the next statement, the next filing, the next detail that could shift understanding, interpretation, or expectation. And the suspense generated by this process was compounded by the unpredictability of subsequent developments and the constant possibility that new information would dramatically alter the narrative, reframing prior events and challenging previously held assumptions. And as the case progressed, this cycle of anticipation, analysis, and revelation created a compelling and immersive experience for audiences who became deeply invested not only in the outcome, but in the unfolding process itself. And the narrative became a living, evolving entity that reflected the complexity of human behavior, the power of public perception, and the intricate interplay of legal, social, and personal dynamics in high-profile professional contexts. And as observers sought to map connections, interpret intentions, and anticipate outcomes, the story continued to expand in scope, impact, and complexity, creating a sense of engagement and suspense that was virtually continuous and relentless. And each new revelation, interpretation, or commentary added to the richness of the unfolding drama, reinforcing the centrality of attention, anticipation, and speculation in shaping public understanding and emotional investment in the narrative. And the ongoing nature of these developments ensure that audiences remained deeply engaged, following each new piece of information with intense curiosity, speculation, and emotional involvement. And the interplay of legal filings, personal statements, professional reputation, and public reaction created a multi-layered narrative that was both compelling and unpredictable. And as the case continued to evolve, the pattern of engagement and suspense was reinforced, ensuring that audiences remained attentive and invested, fully immersed in the ongoing story, and constantly anticipating the next turn, revelation, or development that could once again redefine the trajectory, interpretation, and perceived stakes of the case. The trial continues to unfold with revelations and twists that no one could have predicted, and with every new filing, every message, and every statement, the story grows deeper, more complex, and far-reaching. And while the outcome remains uncertain, the stakes are higher than ever, and the connections wider than imagined. And as audiences, we watch closely, waiting for the next shocking detail, the next unexpected name, and the next revelation that could once again change everything. Because this story is far from over, and every update matters.